Hello all, welcome back to Swapnil's Analysis and I am Swapnil. Today we are going to discuss about Plato and the accusations made by Plato on poetry. Because of Plato, today we have a subject called criticism and it has a very deep history and it started from the Plato itself. Therefore, Plato is the most important person as far as literary criticism is concerned. But Plato, he was neither a poet nor a critic. He was a philosopher and means a kind of a social thinker or kind of a person who thought logically. Therefore, to understand the Plato, his accusations on poetry, first of all, we will have to understand the contemporary poetry, contemporary Greek poetry of Plato. The poetry which Plato he was talking about or he was discussing about. What was the nature of that poetry? And why he accused poetry in such a very serious charges that people till the end of Victorian period were defending poetry, or rather till the publication of Charles Darwin's Origin of Species, people they were very seriously defending poetry. They were answering the questions raised by Plato around 400 BC in Greek. So basically, Plato, he was a Greek philosopher. He was a Greek logical thinker. And in a contemporary society, when Plato, he accused the poetry in such a way at that time that a kind of a very aggressive thinking was dominating in a contemporary Plato's Greek society. Therefore, Plato, he was a very, in a way, aggressive person, and he actually ran a school, the school for a rich and aristocratic people. And what that school taught about the public speaking, because in contemporary Greek society about 400 BC, public speaking was considered as an art and mathematics. So Plato, he was and logical thinking. So Plato, he was there, and all his students they were aristocratic people. They were the students they came from the aristocratic or political families. So basically, Plato knew that his students they would one day definitely become the Senate member of Athens Parliament. So and Aristotle was his student, and Aristotle he was also a philosopher. He wasn't a critic or a poet. So what happened, the nature of poetry during the Plato's time was oral poetry. Even Homer he did not write any kind of a poetry. So they would stand on a large boulder or a high platform, and there they would spoke out their poetry. And therefore the nature of poetry was a oral poetry or a spoken poetry. So people they would gather around the poet and they would listen to the poems recited by the poet. So what happened? There is no such a problem. But the problem was the Greek poetry was that these poets they claimed that Muses, the goddess of poetry in Greek mythology, the Muses, they have planted the idea of poetry, the idea about the poem into their mind, or the Muses, she is standing behind the poet and she has chosen the poet as a medium to spread her message, to spread her message of morality, to spread her message of truth through the poet. So therefore the people they would pay attention, because a muses, a goddess of poetry, means a god wanted to say something, with the people, and he has chosen poet as his mediator, as his messenger. And therefore this concept of messenger later on we see in as in the Islam or in the Christianity. Therefore Jesus Christ, he was a messenger of God. What message Christ spread? He spread the message of peace. Okay, he actually uh, taught people that they must forgive other people, howsoever big his sin may be. And also Prophet Muhammad, he was the messenger of Allah. So just try to understand here the concept. This concept originally has developed from the literature, because poet, he claimed that they were the messengers of God, and God is actually wanted to convey his message to the common people, and therefore they are just delivering, like today's they were just postman of the God and nothing else. So what happened? These poets, they became so popular, and they would go from one village to another village and reciting the same poem, and thus their poetry became so popular. And therefore what happened, when these poets, they started to acquire a very respectable position in the society, it was bound that someone would definitely point out the flaw of their poetry or their lie. So here we all know why these means. We will have to first understand why poet, they used or they invented this trick, that the muses or the god wanted to convey their message. Because we will first have to understand the society at that time, very savage. We were actually very savage people, and our we means literature actually has made us a civilized person. Means we actually imitate our life, whatever we see, whatever we read in literature, or whatever we see in the movies. That is our thinking. So poets, these poets, they knew this fact very well. Therefore they taught people about the good thing, they taught people about the morality, they talked about the truth. Through their poetry they talked about the justice. So this was a kind of a one of its kind thing. So Greek literature flourished. Greek poets, they became so popular. Means Homer, he was so popular person. Even Plato, he liked the Homer. But what Plato, because I told you that he was a logical thinker, he was a philosopher. Therefore, what he said, that these poets, they are lying. There is no such a kind of a god or anything. These people, whatever they are representing, it is just the figment of their own imagination. And therefore, Plato, while actually he gave lecture to his student, and while he was giving the lecture, Aristotle, he was there and he was listening to the Plato's lecture. And the where Plato has spoke about all these things, it is today known as, published in his book, A Republic. What is the Republic about? Republic, it is about his ideal society, his ideal man, how society should be, how man should behave. That is a kind of a utopia, first utopia of literature, where Plato, he talks about the society, he talks about the man. And there in the book 10 of Republic, he discusses about literature and art. And there he has raised his some doubt about the poetry. So first of all, we will have to understand that today we all know about what? We all know about science, we all know about moon, we all know about the space. If something mysterious happen or magical happens, there are intellectual people, they find out the scientific reason or why that something is happening. Okay, so our science has developed to such a level, and most of the time in most part of the world we are living in a democratic way. Means there is a democracy, or people at least they have a basic freedom, and people they now understand the difference between right and wrong, truth and lie. Okay, so we are that much intellectual. So imagine the society, means around 2400 years back from today, where people they were not that civilized, not that democratic, and not that intellectual. So Plato, he thought that it is his duty, because he was intellectual, contemporary intellectual of Greek society of Athens, that point out the flaws of poetry, because he thought that poets they were lying, they were representing the society in a bad way. So first of all, what was the first accusation of Plato regarding the poetry? Plato thought that these poets they are not correctly representing the god. They are actually misrepresenting the god. How they were misrepresenting the god? By showing God as evil, revengeful, lustful, cruel, lying, telling lies, and etc. So this bad representation of God was creating a kind of a disrespect among the listeners of the poet. And that was his first main problem. That how can you misrepresent the God? And these people, they were lying. How can God behave in a revengeful way? How can God behave in a lustful way? How can God tell lie? We all have studied the Iliad, the Troy, the Odyssey. Then he raised some questions that if that person is a god, if you are representing, and we all know that when the question of God comes into the discussion, God they are always related with one or the another religion. So here try to understand this significant thing, that when Plato he talks about God, he was not talking about any of the particular religion. We all know about the Greek gods like Zeus, like Venus, like Cupid, like Poseidon, like Hades, Hera. So all these Greek gods, they were gods representing one or the another natural power, natural thing. And therefore, they were not related to any of the religion, because religion had not been found at that time. So they were just God representing the universe. Therefore, he thought that these poets they were misrepresenting the God, and they were spreading the lie about the God. So in his book 10 of the Republic, therefore, try to understand here, if you just read the history of English literature, there you will find that even Philip Sidney, in his defense of poesy about published in about 1595, he has defended poetry. Everyone he was, means it is not started with Aristotle and ended with Aristotle. Everyone they were just wanted to prove that poetry was and is a very truthful thing, because Plato was dominating that mind. And after 20th century, means rather I would say after publication of Origin of Species, people they totally forgot about Plato. They never ever tried to defend the poetry. Even there is a very famous statement of Matthew Arnold, that if religion is not good enough, then poetry should take the place of religion to defend and to teach human beings about morality and the truth. So here Plato, he just started a discussion, the discussion which lasted for the centuries. Everyone who read Plato, they tried to defend the poetry. And it started with first Aristotle, that he defended poetry later on because he was a student of the Plato. But here try to understand that Sidney also, in his defense of poesy in around 1595, it was published and written about in 1580, he has defended poetry, that how poetry was a truthful art. And later on, his defense of poesy, essay on dramatic poesy, published in 1666 of John Dryden, he doesn't defend the poetry, he talks about the drama, he talks about the various dramas. Okay, therefore John Dryden, we are known as father of English criticism. So Plato, he started the discussion about the poetry. He raised his some personal doubts about the poetry. He charges poetry with misrepresentation. Later on, Aristotle, he very aptly answered back Plato in his Poetics, means art of poetry, art of creation. So what Plato failed to understand, that has been pointed out by Aristotle, and here nowhere Aristotle, he was demeaning his own guru or his own former teacher. He was just correcting the Plato. If you read the charges of Plato and if you read the Poetics or the mimesis theory of Aristotle, then you would find that there he was not, the intention of Aristotle was not to hurt his teacher. He was just correcting his teacher, that was Plato, where he had missed on some of the most important things. That's it. So we must thank Plato. Why? Because Plato actually started a kind of a discussion. Therefore, in literature today we have our most beautiful and my favorite subject, that is criticism, which gives us logical thinking. And therefore we must first thank Plato for raising those doubts and accusing poetry of his own imaginary questions. So what happened, as we have discussed, that Plato, he was not happy. He was not happy with the misrepresentation of God. So if we read the mythology of any culture, any society, there what we would understand, there we would understand about what, that how God has been represented. We all are aware of that. So here what Plato says in his book 10 of Republic, the Republic, as I have told you earlier, it was his idea about the ideal society, that how that society would be. And there he very candidly says that there he would not give any place to the poets. He will ban poetry and the poets from his ideal society, I mean from his Republic. Okay, so therefore what he first charges poetry, he first charges poetry of imitation. He first charges poetry of copy. That is means the first original theory of mimesis is presented by the Plato, not the Aristotle, but Aristotle's theory is more popular, but it is totally based on Plato. So what first Plato says, that poetry is nothing but an imitation of the ideal society, and therefore all the dramatic poetry, they all must be excluded from the ideal state. There should not be any kind of a place to the poetry in any kind of ideal society. Why? Because these poets, they corrupt the mind of the people. They present the reality in a very wrong way. So all these poets, they are liars. Therefore they should be removed from the or excluded from the ideal society, and therefore they do not represent truth. Therefore, he says that poetry and their art, they are thrice removed from the reality or from the truth. They have no exception. They have no understanding of the reality, no understanding of the society. They live in their own imagination. That was he talking about. And therefore, what he says, he gives an example of a bed or couch. He says that ideal bed or ideal couch, the first idea was germinated in the God's mind. Later on, it was transferred to the carpenter. And then carpenter, he made the couch or the bed. So, the bed made by the carpenter, it was just his own idea. It is not the perfect bed. It is not the perfect bed. It is not the perfect couch. But he made it. And the poet, while he talks about the bed verbally, he doesn't create the bed. He just talks about the bed or couch verbally. So what is this? This is poetry is nothing but an imitation of imitation, the first imitation which itself is not perfect. So how can be the imitation or the life represented in through the poetry can be the perfect life? It is just a lie. It is a kind of a what, something which is thrice removed from the reality. Means the things the poet he talks about in his poetry means equality. For instance, equality between men and women. What Plato has the argument about here, that in reality there is no equality between men and women, and we all men, we all cannot be equal. There are some slaves, there are some beggars, and there are rich people. So we all cannot be equal. So when a poet he talks about equality, then he is lying. Why? Because in reality there is no such a thing. Therefore Plato he says that poetry and the poets, they all are liars, and they all are thrice removed from the reality. Means they have no idea about the real societies, therefore they lie. And therefore he gives an example of the couch. And how he attacks the poetry? He attacks the poetry as poetry is nothing but the misrepresentation of the society. Second, he talks about poetry that they are deceptive. They do not talk about the reality. They do not talk about the truth. Whatever they talk about only the imagination, only the fiction. And then poetry being its nature imitative, therefore it is misleading. It misleads people. People believe in the false ideas of the poet. And poetry nothing but the identicalness or the likeliness to the reality, but it is not real. It is still only the fiction or the figment of imagination of the poet. And therefore poetry should not be taken seriously by the man. He is actually warning that poetry should not be taken. Why? Because it is misleading, it is imitative, it is deceptive, therefore, and it is thrice removed from the reality. Therefore it should not be taken seriously by the listener or by the common people. And poetry, because of all this thing, corrupts the mind of a common people, and therefore poetry and the poet should be banned from the ideal society. And therefore he says that he would not give any kind of a place to the poetry and the poet. He will ban poet and he will ban poetry from his ideal state. And what has allowed by the Plato? What kind of poetry allowed by the Plato? Plato allowed the poetry that is worshipping or praising the god or the good men of the society, as it will represent a perfect picture before the common people. So these were the accusations, some of the accusations made by Plato regarding the poetry. What you thought about the Plato's accusation, and if you have liked my presentation, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.